Welcome back to the Spiritual Journey, 6-week, 3rd year. My name is David Stanley, and I manage the course entitled The Spiritual Journey with my school, Universal Comprehension Academy. Today we will be continuing with the Flat Earth theme, comparing the heliocentric Big Bang model with the geocentric creation model, and using our divinatory skills to look at some information and draw some conclusions. Keith, hi Keith, isn't here today as he's on holiday in Spain. So Keith, lucky you, enjoy your holiday. Today is the 28th of September 2021. It's just after 11 o'clock. So let's have a look at where we finished last week. A recap. There were many military operations in Antarctica after the Second World War. Operation High Jump, Operation Deep Freeze 1 and 2. They were studying the ice and most probably the frozen ice of the firmament dome, which covers our earthly realm. They created the Antarctic Treaty, stopping anyone going to the Antarctic for independent research. NASA was set up with some of the 1,600 Nazi scientists absorbed into America during Operation Paperclip. The UN set up the EC Corporation, etc. Now, there's a link for balloons in the video description under the YouTube video. Now, further, in 1962, there was Operation Fishbowl near the equator. Operation Fishbowl was a series of high-altitude nuclear tests in 1962 that were carried out by the United States as part of the larger Operation Dominic nuclear test program. It seems they were trying to break open the dome with high-altitude explosions, and there's a link for that too. As a spiritual detective, knowing that we are in a battle of good versus evil, I know the powers controlling this world are using fear to control the masses, rather like the church was using fear to control the messes. Yes. Now there's a link for Sputnik provided. 2 links in fact. Now remember, the Bible, 2 Thessalonians 2.11, and for this cause God shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. So why would God do that? Yes, for our struggle, and this is what it says in Ephesians, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Actually, they have been trying to engineer our worldview through many different methods for centuries, including literature and science fiction, into space. Yes. Now, there's a video link, the social engineering of our worldview, space and space travel by Jason Lindgren, and that's from the Flat Earth International Conference 2019. There's a link for that under the YouTube video in the description. Now, we know the level to which the powers that control would go and the theatre they can use to convince people and put them in fear. I tend not to believe in the idea of an atomic bomb. We have just the films to make us believe in them. So once again, question everything. Don't forget, we are just comparing the two models, heliocentric and geocentric. Ultimately, you will choose one over the other, but that's up to you and your own research and perhaps your own eureka moment. Yes. Now, it is highly possible that atom bombs do not exist, but are a tool of mass fear and a way to control the people. So question everything. Yes. All right. Question everything. But I'm not out to convince you, just to ask you to consider the possibility. Bear in mind the Nazi saying, if you are going to lie, lie big. The bigger the lie, the harder it is to uncover. Yes. Now the full quote is in the text. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained for only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. This is an excellent definition of the big lie. However, there seems to be no evidence that it was used by Nazi propaganda chief Joseph Goebbels, though it is often attributed to him. Now, there's a link for that as well under the video. A bit of research will show that most ancient cultures believed that the world was flat, covered by a dome. And we can find ancient comprehension of a dome-covered Earth from ancient Greek, Navajo, Babylonian, Massa, Japanese, Persian, Viking, Indian, Mayan, Incan, Hebrew, Chinese, Slavic, African, Sumerian, Masonic, Islamic, Roman, Egyptian cultures. And I met a Sikh man the other day who naturally knows the Earth to be flat. And there's a video link for the legend, Flat Earth Proof number 10. Okay, the link is under the video. Right, so there's also a video under in the description called "End of the World" by Mark Sargent, and that comes from the Flat Earth International Conference 2019. Yes. As a last point, recent research has discovered a 102-year-old lady who remembers that when she was 5 years old, she was taught in school the world was flat. And some years later, they told her, no, it's a spinning ball. And I'll put the video of that in the description. Yeah, 102-year-old Ruth. Okay. So with such a wealth of knowledge, a detective can start investigation. Yes. And we're not talking about just this video. We'll talk about the past 5-6 videos that I've done. So with such a wealth of knowledge, the detective can start an investigation using not only academic resources, but their own intuitive and divinatory skills. Yes. So consider the North Star Polaris remains fixed in place century after century. The other stars and constellations spin around the North Star about once a day, always fixed in the same place on the firmament. However, science tells us we are spinning and shooting through the galaxy at over 1 million miles an hour, yes, around the universe. But the stars and constellations just spin around Polaris millennium after millennium. This is easier to see for someone who has studied astrology for some years. Thus, it becomes evident that the Earth does not spin, but the heavens spin above the Earth plane each day. Now, there's a video for speeds and stars, flat Earth proof number 8, and that's in the description, Star Trails. A link is provided to discover one's astrological chart with the sun and heavenly lights in motion around a stationary Earth plane, what I call our electromagnetic biodome. Yes, and that's in the description too. On this site, you can move the planets and sun around the Earth minute by minute or hour by hour, and notice the Earth doesn't move, as has been known since ancient times. Yes, it's unmovable. It's fixed and stationary. Personally, I've watched the sun, moon, and star movement for over 2 years, making many videos on my YouTube channel. Now, here's a link for the sunset at the end of August, sunset 27th of August, and that will be in the description as well. If one does natural observation oneself of the lights in the sky and our seasons over more than a year, it becomes easier to see that we are not spinning on a ball. Yes, that's how I had my eureka moment. I actually observed it and noted everything for over, well, about 2 years. Now, have you ever heard of the blue marble image of the Earth taken from space? The Apollo mission in 1972. Everybody has seen this image and jumped to the conclusion that it's a photo. However, it is not a photo, but a composite image created by an artist from data. There is no photo. This was admitted by its creator, yes, its creator, who worked for NASA, who was asked the question, what do you do and what is the most interesting about your role here at Goddard, where he worked? How do you help support Goddard's mission? And his reply was, my role is to make imagery from Earth science's data. I turn data into pictures. Yes, turning data into pictures, not photos. And my part was integrating the surface, clouds, and oceans to match people's expectations of how Earth looks from space. Yes, from the idea of Star Wars, Star Trek, you know, all those fictional series that we get. That ball becomes the famous blue marble, was his reply. Just data, no photo. He went on to say the marble is photoshopped. It has to be. Yes? So it's not real. It's a magician's trick. Lead the people to think it's a real photo, but a spiritual detective would ask questions, not blindly accept things on faith. Now, I've left a link to that article under the video as well on YouTube. On another note, there is free artwork for the flat Earth, and the link provided in the description box under the YouTube video and on the text as usual for members of the school Thinkific site, the platform Universal Comprehension Academy. A sense of wonder about a world that the carpetbaggers seem to have rolled up out of our sight. Where will such an investigation lead us? Down which rabbit hole must we slide to find answers to our questions about the real shape and form of our electromagnetic biodome? One must also consider the new research that has been done concerning the light of the moon. Now, the temperature measured in full moonlight is cooler than the temperature measured in the shade of the full moonlight. It varies by about 6 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, so the moonlight is cold. It has also been observed by researchers the moon does not reflect sunlight, as we are led to believe by the Big Bang heliocentric system, but it has its own light, and the dark parts of the moon are seemingly transparent. In fact, during the 36 to 48 hours of a new moon, the moon becomes seemingly transparent and invisible. Yes, this one can observe for oneself. So the moon lights up like a felled sun disk, never reaching the brightness of the sun. In the flat Earth model, the sun is the cathode and the moon is the diode of our of our electromagnetic flat plane biodome. On the flat Earth model, the Earth travels the same general circuit from tropic to tropic as the sun around the flat plane, but takes only a month to do so, whilst traveling slower than the sun. The sun takes 24 hours to complete a circle around and above the flat plane, whilst the moon takes 24 hours, 51 minutes to complete one circle. So we can ascertain that the moon circuit coil over the flat plane has 14 circles from tropic to tropic, whilst the sun circuit coil has 182 circles from the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn. Thus, the sun represents the hour hand of our cosmic clock, whilst the moon counts the months and the zodiac counts the years. Now, from my own observations, I would say that the sea waves could be said to count the natural seconds of the clock we live in. That's all according to the flat Earth theory. Yes. Now, this clock is seen in East European countries. Now, there's a link for that. See the Astronomical Clock link. Now, the intro to this link is every hour on the hour, crowds gather beneath the old town hall tower to watch the astronomical clock in action. Despite a slightly underwhelming performance that takes only 45 seconds, the clock is one of Europe's best known tourist attractions and a must-see for visitors to Prague. After all, it's historic, photogenic, and if you take time to study it, rich in intriguing symbolism. Yes, and there's a link for that. So I will leave other links in the description under the video, YouTube video, for your contemplation in becoming bilingual in the two systems, heliocentric and geocentric. They are a link for the article about Admiral Byrde, yes, and his adventures in the Antarctic and the Arctic. There's also a newspaper article link about von Braun, the Nazi rocket scientist who created NASA, and there's other links for proof that the Earth is flat. Yes. Now, when very young and at school, I was told, yes, the Earth is a sphere. So like many others, this is a very young age, yes, about 8 or 7. I, like many others, believed if I dug a hole in England, I would or could eventually reach Australia. Now that's a delusion, yes, because our technology only allows us to dig about 8 miles down. So now we have to take a boat or fly to Australia. Yes. Now the Earth's core is theoretical speculation to support the gravity theory. Yes. So the note is on 27th of August 2012, Exxon Net Gas Limited beat its own record by completing the Z42 Chayvo well. This ERD well reached a measured total length of 12,376 meters. Yes, that's 40,604 feet. Yeah, or 7.6 miles. And there's a link for that. The super deep borehole, and they can't get any further because there's a barrier that stops them to going further. But you'll find that out with your own research. So that's it for this week. You may want to look at these videos so they are on the Facebook group page and in the research video on the Google website, The Spiritual Journey. There's a link provided in the YouTube video description below the video. Also the research video page of the website. Yes, so there's a free flat Earth map in the description of the video below the video, which is called More Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth. So Google website, The Spiritual Journey, that will be under there. Rocket sent to the firmament. Yes, that's a very good video. And there's a Wikipedia aerospace link for that as well. There's David Steele on the Paperclip trail. Yes, still the election. Once again, we must finish there, but we will continue next week. So bye for now, and hope to see you next week for another edition of The Spiritual Journey. Yes, and normally this would be half term, but I'm extending it by 1 week, and so we can finish the flat Earth theme and the conclusion next week. So bye for now. That's it from me.